The young man in the front seat was beaming with delight. The four elders' hearts were filled with rage. You should know that they have been tirelessly guarding the Qinglong gang for the past 8 years, not necessarily because of their loyalty to Ceirin. The Qinglong gang's primary force was in Anyang City, and they had many additional units nearby. The Qinglong gang, as the authorities called them, was only the tip of the iceberg. The gang had at least 50,000 members. The gang's growth was enormous, and it wasn't only in Anyang City. It did not engage in street brawls like other tiny gangs. They had connections and channels to build, which they exploited to make money by cooperating with the police. They would fiercely report any large, ludicrous cases or crooks that committed crimes in their vicinity. Unlike other gangs that established illegal businesses, they owned businesses such as loan companies, security companies, and even middleman firms that assisted immigrants in finding work. They were intricate and noticeable. I instructed this large group. Despite Ceirin's absence over these 2 years, the Qinglong gang was able to acquire its current status because of the development policy. Despite its rapid growth, it was not targeted by the police. The elders of the Qinglong gang have been clean for a long time and no longer engage in any killing-related activity. They were making money through Buddhism, according to the younger generation. They wanted to keep their identities. Wouldn't their standing, as well as multiple big sources of income, be compromised if they didn't exist? When you're in here, I recommend that you follow the Qinglong gang's guidelines. Although you are the heir arranged by Ceirin, we have been in the gang for a long time and can be considered the gang's elders. Show some respect. Bai Yi spoke once more. He was in control of the security firm, and despite the gang's rules and regulations, Bai Yi had been secretly collecting protection money for years. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be living so comfortably now. This is not the place for conceit, kid, warns old Bai. Another man in his 40s spoke out. His blade-like gaze fell on Xiao Qingrong in an attempt to interrupt his momentum. Everyone wanted to restrict Xiao Qingrong, and since Xiao Qingrong had the confidence to meet them, they already realized that being confrontational was unnecessary. During Qingrong's confinement, Ceirin had already informed him of the situation in the Qinglong gang, so he was prepared. Sheng Yanhui felt worried when he observed Qingrong's mischievous smile, as these individuals were prepared to oppress Xiao Qingrong. He then watched what appeared to be magic. A knife suddenly materialized from Qingrong's hand, and a second later, the scalpel flew and entered itself into the man's hand. Ah! Old Go screamed. He was in charge of the gang's intermediate company. He had intended to take up the teacup, but his hand was instantly punctured by the scalpel that flew across. The searing agony caused him to grasp his hand as blood flowed forth. The cry shocked everyone. You filthy beast! How could you possibly injure old Go? A young man in his 20s approached Go with a gun. Sadly for him, Xiao Qingrong was faster. Another scalpel flew over just as he was about to shoot, this time squarely into his neck. The man's body dropped to the hard, cold floor, eyes wide open, and began to convulse rapidly. It ceased moving within seconds. Everyone was taken aback by the quick slaughter, and they didn't dare to speak this time. They all regarded Xiao Qingrong with suspicion. Even old Go, who was injured, was terrified of Xiao Qingrong. Killing another person without blinking makes him appear out of the ordinary. Drug trafficking and people trafficking are prohibited under Articles 54 and 72 of the gang's ordinance, and perpetrators face the death penalty. Xiao Qingrong observed the other three's expressions shift as he calmly described the man's deeds. He continued despite his dislike for these folks. Bai Yi, the security company's head, is a man of many misdeeds. You appear to have employed security agencies for a long time to collect protection fees and participate in violent debt collection. The act of collecting protection money is forbidden under Article 4 of the gang's ordinance, and violators are promptly expelled from the gang. Scars, the head of the logistics company, exploits the company's position to unlawfully transport drugs and personal information, among other illegal acts. That's another crime added to the list, and so on. Finally, Long Jianghe, the head of Qinglong's lending company, who is involved in high-interest rate loans and loan shark, blackmailing and forcing customers to sell themselves as payment while operating illegal pornographic sites. All of you are on the verge of illegality. Don't you find it amusing? When Xiao Qingrong saw this information in prison, he knew that the gang's behavior should have altered a little following Ceirin Ye's 8-year absence, but he did not expect the transformation to be so drastic. Why would they try to test it on the edge of the law if they were serious about making money? Did they enjoy it? Everyone in the room was flushed. They had no idea the young man who had just come understood all about their actions. What exactly did that mean? Did Xinya know as well? During its early phases, the group was comparable to many other gangs, collecting protection fees and operating illicit sites. However, when Ceirin devised a series of plans for the gang's development, they began to bear fruit, and only after a long period did it progressively prosper. People, however, were greedy and quickly reverted to their former behaviors. After all, who wouldn't want to live comfortably while earning more money? They are agitated now because Xiao Qingrong is tearing it apart. Xingyan Hui was on high alert and nervous when he observed their venomous eyes. He knew what they were thinking and was worried about how tough it would be for them to go. The mood was gloomy at the moment, with everyone bracing for the impending attack, but Xiao Qingrong looked around and made a cheerful statement. I came here today to give you all a surprise. Do you want to guess the surprise? Many people were perplexed by this sentence. Just while they were debating what Xiao Qingrong meant, gunfire rang out from the outside, sending their hearts pounding. What number did you dial? Bai Yi drew his gun and scowled as he pointed his gun towards Xiao Qingrong. Ignoring the rifle, Qingrong sat there and laughed as though on vacation. You guys, all of you, are on shaky ground before breaking the law. Oh, no. As a law-abiding citizen, you already are. Of course, I contacted the cops. As soon as he stated it, they saw a team of special troops come in and subdue them before they could retaliate. After all, they lived in luxury and comfort for so many years while in power that their sense of danger must have deteriorated. It made it relatively simple to put them down. Xingyan Hui sat on the main seat, quietly overlooking the occurrence as if it had nothing to do with him, and glanced at Xiao Qingrong with complicated eyes. When it came to the event, Xingyan Hui had no idea Qingrong would pull off such a trick. No one from the special forces intervened in the case of Xiao Qingrong or Xingyan Hui. After a while, a large man entered. If Ceirin was present, he would undoubtedly identify him. And Cheng, the current leader of Anyang City, was speaking. Despite making a significant contribution more than a year ago, he elected to remain in Anyang City. With his elevation, he may be considered a member of the city's inner circle. 95-43, I have to give you credit. After what transpired, the higher-ups will undoubtedly reward you. Oh, did you tell Ceirin this? Cheng grinned. Ceirin thought Xiao Qingrong was still waiting for him to take over the Qinglong gang, but who knew Xiao Qingrong was already assisting the gang? Cheng felt at ease thinking about the benefits that would result from this. The Qinglong gang was at peace and doing well when Ceirin was in charge. But after he went to prison, everything became increasingly unstable, making Cheng's situation miserable. And Cheng consented to the plan as soon as he got the collaboration request from Xiao Qingrong, understanding that it would benefit the city and its numerous cancers. Xiao Qingrong didn't care what Cheng called him and stared at him intently. I've provided you with a list of everyone engaged in the case. Starting today, all firms operating under the Qinglong gang will be mine. In addition, the land I want to buy will be provided. The Qinglong gang will no longer engage in unlawful activities. Cheng fixed his gaze on the solemn young man. It was difficult to believe that he had killed someone on his first day in prison, especially given how devoted the child was to his nation. And Cheng was considering giving to the country, and Qingrong was assisting him in catching so many bad apples. Cheng, of course, smiled and nodded without a doubt. This should be enough. If you have any questions, please contact me as soon as possible. The goal of cracking down on the so-called bad apples was not to eliminate everyone but to find a better method to collaborate, remove those cancerous tumors, and leave the good ones to maintain social order. The Qinglong gang had a large number of members. It was believed that half of them remained after the cleaning procedure. Cheng exhaled a sigh of relief. Cheng eventually took many people away. Xiao Qingrong followed Xingyan back home. Xingyan Hui had asked Xiao Qingrong several times if Xian Yi knew what had transpired. But he wasn't sure whether to be angry or not. Everything had happened so quickly that he didn't know how to react. After arriving at the villa, they went to see Xian Yi. Xian Yi smelled blood pouring from Xiao Qingrong and knew the youngster had done it again, but this time the outcome should be positive. Is everything all right, Qingrong? Xian Yi, who didn't know much about his heir, was intrigued by Xiao Qingrong's managerial approach, but he believed that Xiao Qingrong could undoubtedly suppress the elders. When Xingyan Hui heard these comments, he gazed calmly at Xiao Qingrong. He had the impression that Xiao Qingrong was not guilty. In Xiao Qingrong's perspective, they deserved to go to jail for disobeying the law, and that was the end of it. How could he possibly feel guilty? He nodded when he heard Yi Xian. Rest certain that I handled things professionally. Grandpa Xian smiled and nodded, understanding that it was not difficult for Xiao Qingrong. He no longer inquired and patted Xiao Qingrong's shoulder. You will be given the Qinglong gang in the future. If somebody is still not convinced, you can handle it on your own, you don't need my approval. Xiao Qingrong felt like a worthy person who contributed to the country after hearing Xian Ye's vow. You don't have to be concerned, Grandpa Xian, they would never be disobedient. People who were disobedient were turned over to the police.